Welcome to our session today, Communicating Visually During Online Sessions Using Blackboard Collaborate Whiteboard. Glad to have you with us today, whether you're participating live or if you're viewing the archive of today's session. My name is Jason Rohde, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Faculty Development and Instructional Design Center at Northern Illinois University. And it's my pleasure to be your presenter today. I lead a variety of workshops here, not just on use of Blackboard Collaborate, but a variety of different instructional technologies and best practices, amongst other duties as assigned. So today's workshop is all about introducing you to the whiteboard feature within Blackboard Collaborate. And during the workshop today, we're also going to look at, starting to think about different ways that you can present content in more visual, perhaps engaging ways during a web conferencing session. Something apart from the traditional, just the PowerPoint that you're speaking to, like I'm doing for the slide here that we're looking at right now. So a few objectives for the workshop, and this is really kind of our outline of the things that I've prepared and I want to make sure to cover with us today. So first of all, we're primarily just going to focus on trying out the different options. So we're going to look at things like, okay, how do you load content into the whiteboard? And I'm going to kind of go over the interface and talk about some of the different features. But then we'll go through the specifics of loading content. We'll look at how do you enable the access for students? How do you set it so that they're able to participate and use the whiteboard? And for all of you participating live today, you're going to have a chance to practice using the whiteboard here today in a little bit. We'll talk about the different drawing and editing features that you have, and we'll play a little bit with those features. We'll talk about adding images and screenshots, so you have a diagram or some type of an illustration that you want to add. And then also, how do you save content from the whiteboard for access offline? Whether it be you can create like a PDF file, you can create what's called a whiteboard file, which is something that you could then reuse in another Blackboard Collaborate session in the future, or you might just want to print it off. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So let's start out with a quick introduction to the whiteboard. It's one of the most obvious components of Collaborate. It's the big rectangular space that you see when you log in. So here you can see on this slide I have a screenshot of the whiteboard area within a Collaborate session. So it's this big space that is to the right of our participant list and the chat mod and the audio and video panel. This is what's called the whiteboard. And it's the whiteboard is really the place where content shows up by default in your Collaborate sessions. So it's this white space that you see when you're logged into a session. And it's used for a variety of things. So like as I'm presenting right now to you, these are PowerPoint slides that we're looking at the moment. And these are just uploaded into the whiteboard. So it becomes the placeholder, if you will, for everything from PowerPoint. And in essence, when you upload a PowerPoint, in essence are just images that have been loaded onto your whiteboard space. Collaborate actually converts your PowerPoint slides to images as part of that uploading process. So any image you can put on a whiteboard. And so this is set up so we have one page per slide, per PowerPoint slide. And but what's great about the whiteboard is that not only can you as the moderator annotate and mark up this space, but then you can also provide permission for other participants to use the whiteboard. And the other nice thing you can do is you can actually have participants can have their own pages in the whiteboard, or when you break them into groups, the groups can have while they're working in a group area within Collaborate, what are called breakout rooms, they can annotate on a whiteboard, and then you as the moderator, when you pull everyone back together, you can bring back to the main session area all of those other whiteboard files or those annotations, and those can be viewed directly for the whole class. So it's a really nice kind of a brainstorming tool, a place to share ideas, collaborate. So I'm going to kind of walk through the interface a little bit, and this is the best I could do as far as an image, trying to just kind of mention and provide some nomenclature, so to speak, of the different components. So I'm going to kind of walk around this diagram quickly and just point out these different items. So this first, number one, which is this bar, this gray bar that you see that goes all the way across, this is called the whiteboard action bar. So there are some different options within this little, like a mini menu bar that you might think of. And then above is what's called the collaboration toolbar. So the default collaboration state or mode is the whiteboard mode button. So even if you look up right now and Collaborate, kind of in the upper left corner, just to the right of the audio and video panel, you see an icon. This little looks like a board with a pencil, and it's scribbling in red. And that's the indicator that the whiteboard tool is currently enabled. The other modes, this is called application sharing, and then this third icon here is called web tour. Those are the three modes by default when you're presenting. So those are all here contained within the collaboration toolbar. Then we have, and I mentioned the whiteboard mode button. If we come over here, this right here, this drop down is the scaling menu. So within the whiteboard, you're able to select how you want that whiteboard to resize itself. There are some options there. There are some additional page options that you can get to in this little options menu. Let's see, there's an information menu here that you can open up. Just little areas where you can find the information. This is an important button, and we're going to talk more about this in a little bit, but it's called the Load Content button. And so this is for you as the moderator when you're in the whiteboard and you want to place some content, whether it's a PowerPoint or some other images. You're going to click on that button. The button to record your session is located then in the upper right corner of the collaboration toolbar as well. Then over here on the far right, looking at kind of this option right here, number 10, the navigation bar options menu. So this dark gray looks like kind of a tab or bar that goes across here. This is called the navigation bar. So this allows you to navigate through the content that you have on your loaded into the whiteboard. So you, as I mentioned, there's a little options menu that you can open up, and you can actually pop open a floating toolbar that has thumbnail previews of each of the slides or other whiteboard pages that you have loaded. But what I typically like to do is just relying on the whiteboard, this navigation bar here, is I'll use either the forward or backward buttons to advance sequentially through the pages that I have loaded. You can also use this go-to page menu that you can basically pull down menu, and you can jump to any specific page that you might have. And whatever the title of the page, or if it was a PowerPoint slide that you imported in, that'll show up there. So let's see, Vednidhi, I see you have a question. Go ahead. Let's go. Let's try this again. So, all right, Vednidhi, good question. You mentioned that you say we've uploaded different formats such as PDF, Word, and video. So the way the whiteboard, and what I'm going to demonstrate, what we're going to look at here is when you upload content into the whiteboard, by default you can upload PowerPoint, OpenOffice, different Word files, and images. So it needs to be primarily presentation or image based. If you want to show a PDF, rather than uploading that into the whiteboard, you can either take a screenshot of it if it just will fit on a single page, or what works better for PDFs is to actually use something called application share, where you have that PDF open on your computer and then you show that to those that are viewing the session. And you have a lot more control. You can easily page through a multi-page PDF by doing what's called an application share. And we had a previous workshop last month on that, and that's recorded if you want to view that. and that'll explain how you do that. As far as video, you asked about video and adding video in. There's a separate process for uploading and showing a video file. Collaborate here has a multimedia capability for where you can upload a video, say a QuickTime movie or a MP4 video. We're not going to talk about that today in particular, but if you have specific video questions, you can feel free to follow up with me after today, and I can try to walk you through that. So great questions. Thank you for asking those, and certainly feel free to ask away as we go here. But anyway, so this, as I was mentioning, this navigation bar is how you navigate through your slides, your content. And then the other little option that you see is called the Tools palette, and it's this floating little toolbar here. This is the Tools palette, and going along with it is this other little bar that you'll see from time to time. It's called the Properties Editor palette. And so these two toolbars work hand in hand and allow you to use the different tools that are available here when you're working in the whiteboard. And we're going to try those out here in just a bit. So some of the whiteboard tools, I tried to blow up the floating palette so that you could see these a little bit better and get a sense for what they can do. So kind of going down the list here. So first of all, there's a selection tool. And this is where, when you click on this, you're able to select objects on the whiteboard. And again, we'll get to try these in just a moment, but I want to at least kind of give you the overview of what's possible. Then there's something called the pointer tool, which right now it defaults to a laser pointer, and that was what I was using a bit ago on the previous slide. Now I switched it to, it looks like a little finger, and so I can point to different areas here on the slide. Next is called the pen tool, and so if you want to draw on the slide, by selecting that, then your mouse becomes in essence, a pen tool. So you can either use your mouse or trackpad. I'm using my laptop at the moment, and so my trackpad. If I select that pen tool, then as I draw, I'll be able to draw. And see, someone is already trying some of these out. So that's the pen tool, and you can feel free to experiment as we go along here, because I do have the whiteboard enabled. Luis, you have a question? Go ahead. Luis, remember to click the talk button. We're not able to hear you.
Sorry. I recently found out that my Bamboo tablet is compatible with that pen tool, which is great. Is the iPad notes function compatible with that as well?
The iPad, well, the reason your Bamboo tablet will work is because your computer sees it just as another input device, like another mouse. I don't believe that currently the iPad is set up more as a separate computing device rather than being a peripheral input device like a mouse would be. So I don't believe you're going to be able to use your iPad like a tablet, like plug it in and somehow be able to draw on that as if you were drawing on your Bamboo tablet. But I suspect that may be something that down the road we might be looking at here. So I see some of you have found some of the pen tools, and that's great. We'll try these out a little more in a bit as well. So it's good that you're exploring them and having some fun with them. The text tool, there's a couple different ways to enter text on the screen, and we'll try those out. There's something called, there are two different shape tools, one for making filled shapes and another one for making hollow shapes. There's a line tool for drawing lines. There's a screen capture tool, which lets you take a screen capture from something on your computer and then place that on the whiteboard. And then there's something called the clip art tool, which lets you place some predefined clip art on the screen. You can also create your own clip art library of symbols that you want to easily make use of in your presentation. So let me walk through very quickly just a few how-tos, and then we'll play a little bit and we'll try some of the different features. But I want to give you some context of the steps. The other reason I've put these these instructions here on these slides is that you'll be able to, once I show you how to print a copy of the slides from this presentation from the whiteboard right to your computer. So you'll have this to refer back to. But by default, loading PowerPoint content is probably the easiest, and you have the most flexibility in terms of the design, because most of us are pretty familiar with working in PowerPoint and how you can change backgrounds and colors and heading sizes and so forth. So you can set up your slides, you can build them all out in PowerPoint, and then you can simply import them into Collaborate. You simply click on the Load Content button, and this is located, it's always in the upper right corner of the whiteboard interface. You simply click that button, and then you browse for your computer. The catch is you have to make sure that whatever computer you are using, you're running Collaborate on, you have to have PowerPoint installed, because Collaborate uses PowerPoint's built-in converter that converts slides to images, and that converter runs as part of the upload process. So just keep that in mind, that if you're going to show up and lead a session on a computer that you're not sure if it has PowerPoint installed, you'll want to make sure that if you're loading in PowerPoint slides, you need to have the PowerPoint application installed. And then once it loads, there's a page explorer, and I mentioned this earlier. It's a little floating toolbar that appears, and this is the top of it. You can kind of see what it'll look like. And this is where you get little thumbnails of the various slides that you have loaded, and then you can see those previews. You can move ahead, or you can actually close it by clicking the red X, and that's typically what I do. And then I just use the forward and back arrows that are in the menu bar towards the top. So that's PowerPoint. Now images work the exact same way. All that the load content does allow you to load in a series of images as well. So say you had a diagram, or a student is in the course of a conversation asks a question, and you have an illustration or an image or something that you want to pull into the session. You'd simply click that Load Content button, and then in the dialog box that opens up, you browse your computer for the files or a series of files. So here you can see there are 3 different files that have been selected. You can use the Control key on your keyboard, hold that down, and you can select multiple files, and then you just click on the Open button, and then you're going to be prompted. This box here will appear, and it's going to ask you, do you want to import the images as individual pages? So do you want each image to have its own blank white page, or do you want all of those images on the current page, and then you're going to manipulate them? You can move them around on the whiteboard. And I should mention, one of the nice things about the whiteboard is it's object-oriented, which means once you draw something on it, or you place an image, you can then click on it and you can move those items around. And we're going to try that out as well here in just a bit. Okay, I mentioned clip art, and I do have the instructions here for you if you want to refer to them later. But clip art is just a series of some predefined objects, some things that you could have easy access to place on a slide, like this the check mark option. So for example here, maybe I want to, as I'm speaking, and I want to use the clip art to kind of show that we've talked about this. I could check off by clicking with that clip art. I could put those items over some of the different steps as we were kind of going through and highlighting those. So that's the clip art, and once I put those items on the page, I can easily click on them and delete them as well. So there are a number of math operators, various Greek characters, statistical characters, and like I said, you can, as a moderator, you can build your own clip art gallery, if you will, with some custom clip art that you would then want to reuse. If you teach a course where you have some special kinds of images or items that you want to have easy access to again and again, you could place those as clip art. And clip art works in a variety of ways. So I'm going to quickly just make a new page here. And built into the clip art gallery is not only some of the symbols, but there are even some different kinds of backgrounds. So for example, here's a periodic table that's built into the clip art. So I just placed this on the screen here, and we could talk about different elements here within the table. Or I could, instead of talking about the order of elements here, we could perhaps, I could pull up a map of the U.S. and I could do an icebreaker and ask, where's everybody? Anyone traveled to any conferences this semester? And let you kind of plot that out on there. Another fun piece of background, if you will, is just a Cartesian graph here, where you could diagram equations and such in a math course. So clip art is much more than just cute little images, but really has to do with the ability for you to place a preloaded image or background easily onto a whiteboard that you can then annotate over the top of. And then there's screen capture. This is another feature, something that is probably a little more advanced, but I do want to at least mention it, and I wanted to give you the instructions for those that may want to give this a try. But it's the process where let's say you do have some kind of an image, something that's just on your computer, and you want to quickly take a picture of that and put that on the whiteboard. You would simply launch the screen capture tool. You'd browse and you'd basically resize a selection box around what on your computer you want to capture, and then that would be placed onto the whiteboard. Okay, so it's time for us to now practice. And so as you all have noticed, the whiteboard was enabled by default, so you've had access to this the whiteboard toolbar. I can go ahead, I just disabled it, and so now you'll notice that you don't see that same toolbar that's there. So you can turn it on or off globally for individuals. You can also do it individually one by one, and the way you do that as a moderator is in the participant panel. There's that little options, looks like a small little icon with a drop-down little check mark. You click on that, and then you're able to adjust some of the global options. And whiteboard is one of the global permissions. The other thing you can do with a whiteboard is when you actually set up your Collaborate session in Blackboard, one of the options you have is to enable some of the different settings. If you enable all permissions, the whiteboard will be on by default for your students. However, there probably are times where you don't want them just writing all over your slides. So faculty will typically have the whiteboard disabled for the participants, but they obviously can annotate and make use of it. So I have a few tasks that I jotted down that I'd like for us to kind of try together here. And so the first thing I'd like you to try doing is we're going to do a little bit of drawing. So if you go down, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw, I'd like you to draw a green circle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place one here on the screen, and then I'm going to have you try to replicate that. So I'd like you to draw a green circle, a filled in green circle. Okay, not just with a pen tool, so somebody drew one with a pen, but actually use the shape tool. And so someone did an oval, which isn't a circle, it's an oval. So I'd like for you to try to do a circle. There we go. Someone got a yellow one very close, a very light green. So the way that you would get that and draw that circle that's filled in is you would pick the fifth tool down in the toolbar, which is that filled in square, and when you hold it down, you can then select, instead of the square, you can pick a circle. And the way to get a perfect circle is to hold down the shift key when you draw the circle. So I'll draw a larger one here, and that will let you draw a perfect proportionate circle. Now after you have drew that circle, so I'm seeing lots of different circles, Before you draw the circle, you can change the color. So when you selected the circle tool, you'll notice the options palette where you can pick down below, you could pick a different color. But after you've drawn a circle, you can then go ahead and you can select it and you can change the color. So if you now go up and select the very top tool, it looks like an arrow. That's the select objects, the select tool. So when you click on that, you can go in and you can select one of the previous circles, and then you can change the color. So try changing the color of one of the circles that we've drawn, just to see that process there. And we should see some of the circles changing. So we've got some purple, we've got some green. Well, we've had green, but we'll get some. I don't know, we get some light blue going on. Very good. So we're having fun with some circles here. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear off the page. And now what I'd like you to do is this time I want you to draw a hollow. Let's see. We'll pick a color. We'll do red. A hollow red square. And we'll see if everyone's able to do it perfectly this time. So we've got some pink and one gray or black. Once you draw it, you can select it. You can go up and select the selection tool and you can change the color. So you can make it and change it to any color that you'd like. And I see many of you did hold down the Shift key, which gives you the nice proportionate square, as opposed to, and we've got an artist in the group as well, having fun making the faces there. That's great. And yeah, if you just click and drag, you can make rectangles very, very easily. So that's drawing, and I wanted to have us try that out. Now, the second thing, now what I'd like you to do is try to point to something here on the screen. So you can go ahead and the second tool in the toolbar, the little laser pointer, if you click on that, you can select the laser pointer and then you're able to point around. So I'm using the laser pointer right now, but I can see we've got some another laser pointer, we've got some fingers pointing around, and if you click and hold, and as you move it, then you get the illusion of we're moving around the screen. If you just click once, it will, in essence, place that pointer at that one spot. So let's say you had a series of bullets on a slide. Let me go back here. So here's a sample where on this slide I wanted to kind of point something out. I can click on it and click on number 1. Now I'm going to come down and I'll click my pointer next to number 2. And you can draw attention to certain items just by clicking on the screen, as opposed to having to hold down your mouse or your trackpad if you're on a laptop and be kind of dragging around the screen. So that's pointing. Let me clear off the page again here. And the next thing I wanted to do is have you try loading an image. So maybe on your computer you have an image of yourself, or maybe a pet or someone that you'd like to share with us. So what I'd like you to do is try to load an image here, on our whiteboard. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to go down and you're just going to click on the Load Content button in the upper right corner, and you should be able to then browse on your computer to find a picture. So I'm going to go ahead and let me find the picture myself. And what we'll do is we'll have the images all load on this same page. Okay. Luis, go ahead.
I'm not seeing a Load Content button.
Oh, that might be just for the moderator. Let me give you, this is a pretty safe group. I'm going to make you all moderators here, and so that you'll all be able to try using that Load Content button here. So Isabel and Luis and Sheila, I'll give you moderator privileges as well. And as long as you all promise not to kick me out of the room, we'll be fine. And did he as well. So now you all have moderator privileges. So if you look up towards the top, now you can see the load content button. Click on that, and then go ahead and browse your computer and pull up an image. So I'm seeing a cat. Someone's cat is loaded. And now because we have multiple moderators here, we're kind of bouncing around a little bit. But you get the sense of how easy it is to place something from your computer onto the whiteboard space. I'm going to go ahead and we'll kind of set everyone back to participants here, so that you've gotten to see that, the load content, what that's like. All right. So now we have a couple of images. There's 3 images here on this one page. And notice that you can click and you can move these images around. So they are resizable, they're editable. You can either go to a corner and you can, like I have this little cartoon of me, I can stretch it out and make it disproportionate. Or if you go to the lower right corner, when you get a little, it looks like an L bracket, it will also then let you kind of resize. I think I can, with the Shift key, holding that down, you can resize it proportionally. So I'm going to, resizing this really cool, looks like a sunrise picture. You can click and drag, and you can, if you have the Shift key down, you can resize it and it stays proportional. So this is a nice way. You can put together something on the fly, or you can add in some images, some different pieces visually into what you're trying to share. Let's try this screenshot. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we'll give it a shot. Let everybody try loading in a screenshot, and I see someone has their hand raised, and when I launched my Collaborate, I'm going to, I think I have to take my screenshot here first before I can get back into our window. Let's see here. Oh, I think I've got too many things open on my computer because I opened the screenshot tool, and now, here we go, let me click OK. There. So I got a piece of a screenshot from my web browser, and I was able to place that here on the screen. The Nitty, go ahead. I see you've got a question. Is it possible to upload a webcam screenshot? I don't know that you can upload a, it's going to want to use what's on your computer. It's not pulling in something from an external device. That's a good question. I think you'd have to have the image somehow saved already to easily pull it in, to load it in that way, and I think that's the way you'd want to do that. If you're able to snap some type of a shot with your webcam and then have that save into a folder, that'd be the way to go, the Nitty. But that's another great question there. So that's the screenshot tool. I do want to point out look at a couple of our other images there. you've got some options as far as what you can do with the whiteboard after you have these collaborations. So you have students loading content in, you're using it to present, or maybe you give the students the ability to use the whiteboard. And then you can choose to go ahead and you can save or print a portion of the whiteboard. And the way you do that is you go up to the File menu, and you can then go down, and then you can either click Save or Print, and you have some options as to what it is you want to save or print. But the whiteboard does appear on both of the, whether you pick Save or Print, you get those options. And so you can, by saving the whiteboard, what this allows you to do is it will save your whiteboard in what's called a whiteboard file. I believe that the extension is .wbd, and that's a file that you could then save to your computer. Let's say you're teaching 2 sections of the same course, and you use Collaborate for a meeting on Tuesday, and on Thursday when you have that same class meeting with your different set of students, you want to reuse that kind of edited whiteboard. You could load that saved whiteboard back into Collaborate, and it would have all of the editable objects that you loaded. That would all be brought back in. So that's the saving. The ability to print it out, as a PDF or such, is within the print area, and you can choose to print a copy of the whiteboard. I think let me go back here for just a moment, because I think you can save as a PDF as well, but I want to double check that before I tell you that that is possible. So you pick either the current page or all pages, and you do have the option for a whiteboard file, a PDF, or a whiteboard PNG, which would be a separate image then for each page. So yeah, you've got a lot of options as far as saving content and being able to let the students see those annotations, have access to that after the class meeting. I do want to just point out where you can find even more information about the whiteboard, as well as a lot of the different features. And that's the Blackboard Collaborate support site, and they have a knowledge base on the whiteboard. So I'm going to quickly go into what's called Web Tour. So I'm going to actually show you a website, and it's simply support.blackboardcollaborate.com. And this is a good URL to make note of, and I'll push it out in the chat there. It's just support.blackboardcollaborate.com. And when you come here, and I'm using the feature here now where you see we have this website loaded inside of the whiteboard. If you go to Blackboard Collaborate Web Conferencing, that's the first option that we see. And we click on Blackboard Collaborate Web Conferencing, and then we go down to where it says How To. That's the option kind of expands down. There is scrolling down, all of the different features are listed, and there's really nice frequently asked questions, kind of how-to answers for the different features that are all built in. And there's a lot of the different features here. The whiteboard is what we talked about today. You can go down to the whiteboard and you can drill down and you can learn about the different features of the whiteboard. How do I load content? Some of the different, how much content can I load into the whiteboard? And there's 3 pages of kind of answers to frequently asked questions. So for example, how do I use the clip art? You can click on that, it opens up, and you can see that information is there for you. So this is a really helpful utility, the Blackboard Collaborate knowledge base. To be honest, it's what we refer to when we're looking for answers as well in faculty development, and it's something we'd certainly encourage you to see. So, so you can't see it on the whiteboard, Luis. You should be able to see the web page. It's a dynamic web page, and I'm wondering if the way it's loading may cause some issues here. Let me do this another way, and I'm going to pull it up in my browser, and instead of doing the web tour, we'll do an application share. So let me just go ahead and switch over to that. And so now you should see I I have the Blackboard Collaborate site open on my computer, and if I go to Blackboard Collaborate web conferencing, and again, this is where you would go, support.blackboardcollaborate.com. You can come here, go to Blackboard Collaborate, and then down to How To, and from there you can see the different features, and then you can learn more about, for example, the whiteboard. And here are the various different answers to questions, how I load images, just a lot of common questions that faculty might have about using Collaborate. They are detailed here. So that's the Collaborate support, and I did want to point that out. That's a really good place to go to find more answers. Another great resource, again, is NIU's Blackboard Collaborate site. If you're using Collaborate with your students, you can direct them here. One of the items that we have on this page at niu.edu/blackboard/collaborate, you can see the URL down here, we do have a page devoted to participating in a Blackboard Collaborate session. This is geared for students to remind them, to give them the quick overview info that they might need to use Collaborate. There is a system check as well. They can click this link, check your system here. By clicking on that, they go to the page on the support site that will run a system check to make sure their computer is properly configured to participate. So this is another resource I did want to mention. The Blackboard Collaborate support, the support portal is a place where you can ask questions as well. You can see, if people have other questions about particular features that maybe you have questions about, that's another good place to look. So we will plan to offer some upcoming workshops on some more of the Collaborate features. The November 2012 schedule should be coming out here hopefully this afternoon, which will have links, some information on upcoming. I think we have another Collaborate feature workshop scheduled for in the month of November, so you can be watching for that. And just as a reminder, we do have archives of all of our workshops available online, and we actually use Blackboard Collaborate to create and make those available. So you can find those on the faculty development website. You simply head over to niu.edu/facdev, and when you're on our site, if you just look in the red bar at the top for archives, just click on that and you can see then, you'll see all of our various program archives that you can view at your leisure. They're also available in iTunes, so if you have a mobile device, you can search iTunes for NIU Faculty Development and you'll find the mobile podcast forms of these archives, and you can watch them right on your smartphone or tablet. If you're on Twitter or Facebook, follow us there, and there you'll also find out when we announce new workshops, new resources, tips and tricks and best practices for teaching. You can find those by following us on those social media channels too. So with that, that is the conclusion of our workshop today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to stop the recording at this point, and then I will stick around and answer other questions that that others may have. But again, if you have other follow-up questions, those of you viewing the archive, you can feel free to get back in touch with me. All my contact info is here on the slide. Otherwise, we hope to see you at another faculty development workshop in the future. Thanks for joining us today.